Welcome to the PT Marketing Power Hour, highlighting successful marketing strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. We have another great episode today, so don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, here's your host, physical therapist, marketing expert, and CEO of Practice Promotions, Neil Trickett.
All right, and welcome everybody. Welcome to the PT Marketing Power Hour, highlighting successful strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. I'm your host, Neil Trickett, CEO of Practice Promotions. And today's focus, we're going to talk about all kinds of different marketing, but especially the power of print marketing. And I'm really happy to have a good friend here, Tony Cere and Susan Martin here from Kinetics Physical Therapy and in Gainesville, right? Gainesville, Florida. So great to have you on here.
Well, thank you. So just a little background. My wife, who's also a physical therapist, Melissa Cere, we opened our practice in 2008, making steady growth. And in 2000, I guess it was probably Susan's been with us pretty much just about since we've opened.
2010.
Yeah, so for a long time.
Yeah. So when I started, we had Tony was the full-time PT. Melissa was part-time. You had just hired another full-time PT.
Yep.
So there were 5 of us in all.
That's awesome.
At that time.
And how many staff are you up to now?
32.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on all your success. I think that's really encouraging to a lot of practice owners out there. We certainly talk to a lot of different practice owners that are a little bit more in those kind of starting phases, right? Where they're handling a lot of different hats, and just being able to see what you've been able to build up there. It's encouraging, right? To see what's capable, right? And so for you, what are some of the things that you've been able to do in your growth, right? With Kinetics, in terms of your marketing, like what kind of things have you focused on there to get to where you are today?
Well,
I would say that probably, what was it? Maybe 2016, 17, maybe. I had started in the front office, scheduling patients, moved up to doing other things that I was better at doing and things that I really like to do, which was marketing. And so I went to Tony and Melissa around that time and said, we need help. We need systems in place. We need, we just need more advice. Because we could see where the business was going, but getting there was, how are we going to do our marketing for this? So that's when we started contacting various, people, you guys, and we were right. Business was about to explode, but we were really helped along that journey, to get things moving.
Yeah. I love what you just said there. And I think, Tony, have you found this to be true? Like putting systems in your business has helped you get to where you are today?
For sure. So we were searching, we wasn't sure, where to go, but we were open to doing different things. And, during that time, my wife and I were helping with the Florida Physical Therapy Association, setting up courses for private practice owners. And so we were searching for a company that did marketing. We reached out to a friend of ours, Mary DeLong, who we've worked with since we opened with compliance. And she had recommended us checking out Breakthrough, Chad Madden. And I knew of him, but I didn't know much about him. And so I went out there and I was very impressed. And that's where we met as well.
Right.
And anyway, pretty soon, I think after that, we had joined Breakthrough with the social aspect of marketing, and also like pretty much about the same time we joined Breakthrough. We knew we needed help with our website, so
Right.
we joined you guys, and that was a huge help because of, you know, just the newsletters that go out, and a better presence for our website, and just traffic coming to us there. So just multiple things we've continued to work on, and from that point, and we doubled our practice like in a 2-year period.
Awesome.
From about that point till like 2018,
Mhm.
19, and then continued growth. And now we're, like I said, we're in the process of opening up another location that's been in the works for a while, and it's going to allow us to double our current practice. And currently we're seeing, you know, it ranges, but you know, close to 600 visits a week.
Nice.
You know, 550 to 600, and we'll be able to double that and help that many more people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think, you know, Susan, you said this too, like, you know, one thing when I'm talking to some different practice owners, they try to focus on what's the one thing that might make a big difference in their marketing. But it seems like what you've looked at is you realize that there were multiple areas that you needed to attack, right? To improve your marketing in order to get the results. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, so I guess we just attacked every area available to us. You know, we went to breakthrough conferences, you know, we jumped on with you guys, and it was just all coming in really fast as far as advice for this, that, and the other, getting systems in place, you know, building your website, making it better, you know. So yeah, we did everything like all at once, you
Yeah.
know, and I think that was a good way to do it, you know. And you know, we've learned things along the way, things that worked better for us.
Hmm.
You know, not, you know, practices are not the same, you know. So we were able to do things that worked better for our community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I think one thing you've done exceptionally well is you have a very good following of patients, right, that you've built up over the years. And one thing I see you do really, really well is not only you're working to bring the new patients in with all your online and, you know, digital world, and you know, social media, Google advertising, all those kind of things, right? That's bringing new patients in, but you put a lot of effort into maintaining those relationships with the patients that you've served, right? And obviously that
Right.
helps with your word of mouth. So tell us a little bit about print marketing, right? You do a lot with print marketing. So what kind of things do you currently do with that?
So here I brought, this is one of our newsletters featuring Melissa.
Looks great.
So, and then a more recent one featuring our new building coming soon. So yeah, so we do newsletters to our past patient list every month. And what I've done in the last 6 months maybe is I got a warmer list together. So I took our warmest, our last 5,000 addresses, which I think that's 2017, I believe it was.
Okay.
And so we decided to do that to our warmest list that we had. So the way we do it, and we've done it various ways over the years, but right now what we're doing is we send it to 2,500 of our list each month.
Mm-hmm.
So every other month, a past patient is getting a newsletter.
That's awesome. So let's break that down a little bit, right? Because why would you send a newsletter? Why would you direct mail it to your patients?
Well, because we want to stay in contact with them. You know, these are what they call our low-hanging fruit. You know, these are people who know us, they like us, they trust us. So why wouldn't you want to stay in contact with those people? And in fact, I was just looking at some of our referral sources, and our return patients are 18% of our total referral sources.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
With physicians being number one, but they're number two.
Yeah.
So it works, to stay in contact with your past patients.
Right. Absolutely. And so with your marketing there to past patients, you do both digital like email, right? And then you also do
Mhm.
direct mail. And
Right, yeah. And the newsletters, I mean, they go, even though we're direct mailing to half of our list, the digital goes to our entire 4,500 email
Mhm.
list every month. So the
Right.
ones that we're missing with direct mail, we're getting them on the digital side of that. And then the following month, it's just the opposite.
Yeah. So I think you're hitting two really important concepts here. One is, how do you leverage the customer list, right? Your customer list is the most powerful way of getting business, right, in your practice, especially if you've been established. So if you are effectively marketing to them, maintaining that relationship, then that's going to help you grow your business. The second part of that is, how are you marketing to those customers, right? And you have to, some people just focus, hey, I'm only going to send out something digitally, right? I'm only going to send an email to my patients because it's inexpensive, right, to send an email out. But I think you were telling me a little bit before, what's sort of the percentage of people that open emails?
Oh,
For-
so yeah. So for our newsletter specifically, I think it was a 32% open rate, which is
Yeah.
really high.
Yeah, that's really great.
I mean, according to Practice Promotions, my rep, Amanda, she says that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That 32%.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, anywhere from the 30s to 40s is really good. But we're still missing 70, 60 to 70% of the
Right.
people that we're trying to communicate with, which is why when you do direct mail, you're actually getting into 95% of people's mailboxes. And one thing that's really important is the experience is very different too, right? When people pull something out of their mailbox and when they read something on a screen, it's a different cognitive experience for people. And we actually have a different response when we're holding something in our hands and reading and looking through it versus just reading it on a screen. Now in today's world, we want to have those multi-layer marketing where people are seeing it both on their phones and also in their mailbox, and that can have the maximum impact.
Right. And I would say, like, we constantly get patients just thanking us for sending out newsletters.
Mhm.
And we, we get patients coming to us because of it as well. One example is a patient of mine that came to us for vertigo. They were referred by ENT for vertigo, but they live about an hour away. Well, they came into town for that treatment. Where they live, there is a PT clinic there, and she had a total knee and was
Mhm.
going to PT, wasn't getting the results she wanted, and happened to get our newsletter, and so transferred her care to us and drove. But that newsletter reminded her, wow, I had a great experience. I didn't, she came to us for vertigo. And it just reminded her that we could treat her for her knee as well. So she came in and was super happy. And, that's somebody that we wouldn't have got probably coming back to us if they didn't get that newsletter.
Right, exactly. I think that's a great point there, Tony, because like as you and I are both clinicians, so I'm sure you've had the experience where you're working with a patient maybe on their knee, and then someone who's getting treated for their back, and they're in the clinic, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you treated knees."
Right.
And you're like, "Yeah, we do," right? And it's kind of the same thing with your newsletter, that someone might have come to you for their knee, and then you send them something on about back pain and how you can help back pain. And now they're like, oh, my husband has back problems and I had a good experience, at Kinetics PT. So let me come on back. Right.
Yep.
Right. And we're hoping to also do that very same thing with our diagnostic testing that we do, because, getting the word out about that, we're a one-stop shop. Don't drive all over town, to get your imaging, come to Kinetics. So
Right.
I think that's great, gaining some traction.
Yeah. And you have a very unique selling proposition there, right? You're able to do the diagnostic testing, which is, pretty unique in the area, especially. And that's something you need to market and portray. Like, why would someone choose you? Well, you're doing musculoskeletal ultrasound, right? And also the EMG testing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a great promotion there. Susan, you had mentioned the list size. I think this is something we could unpack here a little bit. So
Mhm.
right now you have a list size of about 5,000, right?
The list is a lot larger.
Right. But
But right
yeah.
now we're concentrating on those 5,000 names.
Yeah, and the key thing for that, I think, is that there is a diminishing return, right? So if you're marketing to people from 10 years ago, who knows what may have happened in that
Right.
time, right? They could have easily relocated or something like that. But 5 years, 3 to 5 years is a pretty hot list that you can leverage. And it's also about making sure that you're within a good return on your investment for the direct mail, and that you can maximize that ROI. So I think you're doing the absolute right thing, and then being able to also work within a budget. So if sending out 5,000 pieces a month is too much, then breaking that up in half, where you are hitting that list of 2,500, right? Say every other month, or if you do 2 or 3
Right.
months in a row and then you flip the list, that makes a lot of financial sense too.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and I like it that, we had the choice to do that.
Yeah,
We didn't have to send 5,000 pieces of mail. If we only wanted to send 1,000 pieces of mail, we could.
Mhm.
So it's nice to have the options of what we want to do. And we figured out that it's only costing us 74 cents per patient to send out a newsletter. I mean,
Yeah.
I got these at my house. I'm worth 75 cents.
Absolutely. One thing I really admire about what you do and your clinic does is that you put effort into your newsletter, and it really shows. I mean, the pictures and the imagery, you really tell a lot of the stories in the clinic. Do you have any examples of things that you've done from that perspective and telling your story from within the clinic?
Well, on our newsletter, we have a custom content section, which is the very first thing you see when you're looking at the newsletter. So we always do something about what's happening with people within the clinic, any achievements. We had one of our PTs ran a race. He did a really good job in it. So he sent me some pictures. We posted that. Anything that's going on about anyone on the staff, people just love that. And I say they love it because I'll typically do that with, social media marketing as well. And we get lots of comments and, likes and things on those type things. So I figure, well, it's going to work for the newsletter too,
Absolutely.
to do that,
Yeah.
So we do that. And then we always put in a patient success story, which we have tons of. We ask for that, at the end of when they're DC'd, so we have a lot of those on file. I pick them to go along with whatever the issue's about. If it's on shoulder, then it's going to be a shoulder testimonial, various things like that. So, and then practice promotions, they have articles, they'll come up with, if we want to do a shoulder issue, they have articles we can use. So I'm not always having to create all the content, which is a super time saver for me because there's other things that I need to do. So Amanda does a great job putting those articles in here. And then I just kind of go with that with the theme. And we talk about that every 3 months. We have a meeting, so we kind of know where we're going, with that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's very flexible. You can do it. Sometimes we put recipes, sometimes we put exercises, there's just all kinds of different things that you can do.
Yeah. And you had some great points there. I mean, when you're talking about social media, you're trying to connect with people and have things that will relate from within the clinic, the stories, right, that you're trying to tell from within the clinic. The newsletter is the same thing, right? And that you're trying to tell the stories, things that are happening within the clinic, communicate that, keep that emotional relationship going with those customers, right? And I think, what you said too about the different success stories that you're putting in there. I've seen a variety of different things with all the different clients that we work with across the country. You have some clients that are super busy and they don't necessarily put the attention into their newsletter, and so they're just getting a newsletter out, and it does good. But when you have the customization that you put into it, the effort that you put into it, and really telling the success stories, or the the update, the training that the team is doing, the wins that are happening within the clinic, that's what really connects with people. And I think that's why you get such great results from it too, because of the attention to detail and the effort that you're also putting into it.
For sure.
So, Tony, this might be a good question for you. I talk with some practice owners out there, and they're sort of in this transition where they're handling a lot of the marketing themselves, and they're wondering about bringing on someone who's going to help them with their marketing, like a marketing director. So in your experience bringing on Susan to the practice and having her be the marketing director, how did that impact your practice, making that investment in bringing a person that's just really dedicated to marketing the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge investment and like a huge benefit for the practice to bring somebody on in that role. And that's what they're looking at, because they're looking at multiple angles and coming up with ideas that you may not come up with, because we're looking at it through our lens. So Susan has been invaluable. So like, she is a huge part of our success, and we thank her for all that she does.
That's awesome.
It's a great benefit for the owner of the practice to have somebody like that, because you've got to continue with marketing. You can't stop it. Like, you can't go out and have this, roller coaster effect of marketing, where you do a lot and then you get results and then you stop because you're so busy, and then you tank, so like, you got to consistently do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need help, right? Because as a business owner, you're handling a lot of different things, right? You're handling a lot of different things from the patient care. A lot of practice owners are still, treating full time, maybe. And so for you, what made sense? When was that kind of tipping point for you, when it made sense to, like, what size were you in terms of like therapists, number of therapists, before you had Susan start to really take over the marketing?
Susan, what would you say? Like, we probably had
two to three full-time,
right? Plus
three
me.
full-time, maybe some part-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So that's it, right? Like, there's that point where if you want to go to the next step, right, in terms of the growth of your practice, you need help, right? And you need to bring on the right people that can help you get there. And I think what I see is that a lot of practice owners, maybe they're not as well versed in marketing, and so then they're kind of afraid of bringing someone on, or they feel like they can do it all themselves, but they're kind of hamstringing themselves because they haven't brought that person on yet. And it's an investment, right? It's an investment in personnel, but it's the right investment to get you to that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and two, I just want to point out that I work part-time.
Right.
So it's not like you have to make this huge investment in this full-time person either.
Yeah.
I've always worked part-time. So I think you do what you can.
Yeah. Absolutely great advice there, Susan.
Right.
So we'll come back to the printing here a little bit, and you also do something that's pretty unique too, in terms of doing direct mail to physicians. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So we do a physician newsletter type thing, maybe 3 to 4 times a year. Now, we used to direct mail them. And again, I pulled a list of our top 200 that refer to us. So, and that changes every year. So I'm pulling a different list every year. Yeah. So we used to direct mail, but then 1.5 years ago, we hired another part-time person to help me. And he's a retired pharmaceutical rep. He has all the contacts in town. So now he hand delivers to all his contacts in town. So, and he's told me sometimes he writes a little note on the newsletter, or or something, you know. So it's a little bit more personal. It gives him something to hand,
Right.
you know, and it's somebody that they know in most cases, so they're more likely to read it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
it's made sense for us, and it's worked out really good.
Yeah, they actually was born out of what I used to do in our practice. We used to do direct mail for those to physicians in the area because at that time too there wasn't as much direct access, right? And there wasn't really as much with the internet as there is today, right? And getting direct access from the internet. So there was a lot more relationship building with the physicians, and so what I would do too is exactly what Bill was doing. Like I would go visit the different doctors, and it was nice to have that handout piece, that talking point that you could have with either the nurse or the physician, but a lot of times the referral coordinator in the office too. And it just really helped elevate the professionalism and the promotional materials. It's not always the same old brochure that you're handing out, right? It's a different talking point there. So that's really fascinating that you've got Bill on the team now. He's helping to develop the physician networks, right?
Yeah.
And he's using physician newsletters and print materials to build that relationship with those doctors for sure.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the internally. I think you're also using the Google review rack cards, right? So can you tell me a little bit about that and what you've used those for?
Yeah, so like these are, I guess you can see them there, are rack cards, and they've been great. Like we've always, pushed for people to do reviews, but having these make a huge difference just to hand to the patient. If they have a win, it's say it's their, third visit or whatever, and they have a win, like that's a great time to talk to the patient about, hey, do a review. For sure when they wrap up and they're finishing up things is a great time to do it as well. And Susan, what we have about 420 or so reviews now. Like we've got
Yeah.
quite a few, and we've definitely done a lot more faster with these rack cards. So that's
And the team got a party when we reached 400.
yeah. So we're doing
So we've
enough,
got another goal coming up, right?
500. Yeah. So another party for 500.
That's
But
amazing.
we have the most reviews for a PT clinic in our area, and people look at that. And they're great reviews. They're not like little short, quick reviews. They're story reviews, about how it's changed their lives, coming to PT, and that makes a big difference and speaks to people. And lots of people, they see you in multiple areas, but they also look you up. And then when they look you up, and that confirms like, hey, this is where I need to go.
Right. I think you're probably in the top 5% of practices in the country for a volume of Google reviews. They're having over 400. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so those rack cards, they've got a QR code which goes to your location's Google business profile.
Yeah.
Right. So how have you trained your team in the clinic to use that rack card to ask for reviews?
Just like what I was saying is, and it can be anybody in the clinic. It could be the front office, it could be a tech, it could be the PT they're working with, anybody. It could be, we also do laser, it could be, anybody in the clinic, and they're talking to a patient and they've had a win, is to bring that up. And we bring it up in a way that, hey, like this is helping you this much. We want to be able to let others know about what we can do to be able to help them and to be able to help more people. So, and people love it. You ask them to do it, they're more than willing to do it. And, if you happen to do it before they graduate, then you can follow up with them next time they come in, to make sure they did do it. And, if you don't see it pop up as a review. So yeah, it is part of what we do at our team meetings is we'll read off, patient success stories, and that's just motivating, right? Because that's why we're doing what we're doing is to get out there and help people get out of pain and back to function naturally. So it's just a great way to do it.
Yeah, so it's double benefit there, right? You're getting the benefit of obviously the reviews online that other patients can see, but then that's motivation to your team and your staff because they see the change that's happening, and they might be, you might have, because of such a large team, you might have a therapist that may have not even been able to explain that to another therapist, the result that they got with that particular client. But then if you're reading that out loud in a staff meeting, yeah, it's very encouraging to the team.
Right. And we have one for like Google reviews and then one for Facebook reviews. So they can copy and paste it on, on both.
Yeah. And here's to our audience, here's why that's important, because in order to leave a Google review, you need a Gmail account, right? You need a Google account. So not everybody's going to have a Gmail account, but a lot of people have Facebook, accounts. And so if they can't leave a review on Google, then you can have the next best thing, which is getting that Facebook review.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The other reason I like the cards is because it makes it so easy. And we've got all different personalities in the clinic, and it might not be so easy for some people to say, can you give us a review? But if all you have to do is hand the card out, and they see right there what it is, and it just makes it easy. Some people are good at that and some people aren't as good with that, but this has made it a lot easier that everybody can participate.
Yeah, great point there, Susan. Absolutely. And that is one thing I hear a lot from practice owners, is they want their team to ask for more Google reviews, but it feels a little challenging to some folks, right? And some people, like you said, some people are better at it than others, but just that one print material, that Google review card, just makes it a lot easier just to ask, right? Especially during that time when they're having a successful action. And you also have a lot of different services that you provide, especially now in your diagnostics and stuff. And so it seems like you've used different brochures and flyers, different print materials in the clinic. How's that been helpful?
I'd say it's very helpful. Like we have class 4 laser, so just information on that, information on diagnostics, just being able to hand that to physicians, to patients, to, whoever may need that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if you have services on dry needling, for example, or even massage or other, adjunct services, just having something there that's easy to give to the patient that they can take with them, they can understand, it makes them much more willing to, maybe pay for that cash-based service, which could help, out the practice, right?
Yeah. Like for us, you got a wide array of things that we treat: pelvic health, vestibular, TMJ, general orthopedics. So just being able to have information to pass out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're obviously doing a lot of different marketing actions here, for new patients, for communication with past patients, for leveraging patient referrals and within the clinic and physician referrals. So how do you track all these different sources? Like, what are some of the things that you found successful there?
So what we do at intake, we have a section on the intake forms. How'd you hear about us? There's various boxes to check, or they can write other, and then our patient care coordinators input that into the EMR. And then it's really easy just to run report, and I can track every type of referral source based on what the EMR is telling us. So, and then, I keep reports on all those things, and that does help guide you. If our return patients dropped below this 18%, then we're going to do more, in that direction. So,
yeah.
Or physicians, if they start dropping off, we got to do more in that direction. So it really does help to track it.
Absolutely. You need that data. I think you were right on there, Susan, right on nail on the head, where you talked about the setup at the beginning, right? So like it's an EMR, so it can be tracked, having your front desk kind of put the right checkbox on there. Then you have that information later on. An example of that I have is there was a client that we were working with, I think in St. Louis, and their new patients started to go down, right? And what they cut back on some of the things that they were doing to market to past patients. And because they had some different statistics, they were able to see that their physician referrals had dropped a little bit, but their past patient reactivations had dropped a lot. And it was because they had pulled back on that marketing that they were doing to their past patients. So they got that back in, they were able to turn that around and get those past patient reactivations going back up again. So, but it comes back to having the information. If you don't have the information, it's hard to make a decision.
Right. And nobody wants to guess.
Right.
because you'll invest in something that maybe you didn't need to do.
Yeah. And so, maybe for you, Tony, here or Susan, we get comments sometimes that people think print marketing is either outdated, or too expensive or time consuming. Like, how would you answer those objections that people have?
Well, I would say if I were doing all of this on my own, coming up with all the content, all the design, doing the bulk mail, which I have done bulk mail in the past, it's a pain. So how time consuming that would be. Tony would have to pay me a lot more, and I would have to also work a lot more. So this has really been a time saver, is the way I see it. And then these newsletters take me about maybe an hour every month, to put together and, talk with Amanda about it, do the edits, whatever. I mean, that's not a lot of time investment on my part. And it's gives me time to do other things that, that I need to take care of, within the marketing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then in your experience, incorporating print marketing to all the other things that you're doing, do you feel that print marketing is still a valuable investment in marketing?
I would feel it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I've seen is that it's even more successful in today's world. I saw a funny cartoon, and it was basically saying, back from the 1990s, when you were at the computer and you got that, America Online would say, "You've got mail," you'd be so excited, right? And then you'd have stuff in the mailbox, and you'd be like, "Oh, you're getting all the stuff out the mailbox." And you kind of flip that in today's world, where you're at the email inbox and it's like hundreds and hundreds of emails, and you're like not that excited, but then you get something in the mail, you're much more excited about it. So I thought it was a pretty funny cartoon. And one thing that I also saw that was a fascinating story was, do you guys know of LL Bean? Right, so it's like that, real famous clothing line and outdoor line that's large stores all over the US, and they do a lot of online orders. So one year, someone had the bright idea to stop sending their catalog out to save some money. So they saved a few $1 million sending out their catalog that would go out, and they went to everything online. But in those next 2 years, they lost $100 million. So they put that action of putting the catalog back in. And so what may happen is that with that catalog, it sparks someone to see ideas. They see the clothing on there. Oh, that's interesting. And then they go online and shop, right? And I think we see a lot of that in practices, is that they get that reminder in the mail. They may not call directly from the newsletter, but they'll go back to your website, right, and start investigating you again. Or it's something that they might email a friend about, or just show something to a friend or family member, and then they go online, right, and they may come in through your website or give you a call from the website. So it's important to look at the overall scope of what print marketing does to impact people's movement to the online experience, right, and connecting with you that way. So for you, Susan or Tony, obviously you've been growing here since 2017. Just kind of curious what impact you think practice promotions had on helping you with your marketing.
I think it's been a big impact. We do get a decent amount of traffic just through our website. So having a quality, good website where people can find us is important. But like all the other things we talked about with the newsletters and the rack cards and all the other print marketing and everything that you guys do has I feel like just been a huge help for our continued success.
Yeah, I think it makes us well-rounded.
Right.
I feel like the print is more personal, but you have to have the digital as well. So, we get leads from both, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, that comes back to our strategy, which we're always trying to incorporate for our clients, which is how can we get you the biggest online presence possible, and reaching out to as many people in your community as possible that are searching online, bring them through to your website, have that conversion moment where they're going to decide that you're the right solution for their problem, book online or call from the website. And then how do we leverage their relationship that they've been building with your practice, right? So with internal referrals, and then those past patient referrals, and how are we communicating to them that? So it's pretty simple when it comes to that, but that's really the main thing, is how can we get you discovered online? How can we convert people through your website? And how can we keep in communication to get them to come back and tell others? So really thankful to be part of your journey. And I really admire all the effort that you've put into your practice and your marketing, and it's really shown in your growth and your success. And I know you're going to continue to have enormous success as you open that second location there. So Tony or Susan, any final words here for practice owners out in the US and Canada?
Well, we appreciate all you guys' hard work, but I would definitely, if you guys aren't doing newsletters, aren't doing some of the stuff that we discussed, certainly look more into it. It's been very beneficial for us, and, great ROI on our investment.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Well, thank you so much, Tony. And thank you so much, Susan. It's been great having you on here. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us today. Be sure to check out practicepromotions.net/power. There, listeners can download over 9 checklists and free resources made to coach you through simple, proven marketing actions to increase new patients. So check it out today. That's practicepromotions.net/power, and I'll see you next time.